first thing we want to do is we are going to look at your staffing requirements templates and shift templates. The staffing requirements template is going to be your head count that you are going to see when you go to this view schedule screen. You do not have to do this part. I just want to show you really quickly. When you go to view schedule, there is these counts that appear at the bottom. The staffing requirements template is what captures this bottom number you see here. The shift template is going to be what you're saying, what shifts, the number of people you need that are coming on shifts. So click on in the blue header bar, the scheduling tab, and then you're going to hit multi-view scheduler. Halfway down the page, you are going to see schedule template, and then schedule templates. And here is where I want you to enter your HR department. Please do not use the HR department that you see me using. You do not need to change your date. And you're going to click on load. When it opens, you should see the name of your staffing requirements template. I am using CRMC's. They called theirs the ED Spring 2023. And if I were to open this, you should have numbers in here with your day part. I'm not going to go through this individually with you all. If you have questions, I'm going to ask you to please talk to your business informatics or team members on the local sites, or follow along in the video that was created. But it's really important that you have numbers here.
What if we don't see that? We just see no template.
Okay, so very good question. So if you don't have a template, I'm going to ask you to listen and follow along, okay? And if we have time at the end, we'll try and talk to you or get you a resource to help you, okay? So that's the first step in this process that you need to have, okay? So in the top here, I'm going to ask you to go back one. If you see right now, the blue tab says staffing requirements template. I want you to go back to the one that says templates and click on it. So that's the first step. You want to make sure you have some data in there and some information. Next to it, next to the pencil icon, you're going to see a little caret. I need you to click on that caret and something should open and drop down. If you do not have anything, that means you do not have a shift template that is linked, or what I call married to, your staffing requirements template, okay? Because the two work together. So I have one, and mine is called the Spring 26 shift template. Does everyone have a template here? I know someone just came off and they didn't have this the schedule, this staffing requirements one. You need to have this. If you do not, again, wait till the end. We will talk to you and try and get you the right resource or try and help you out. But this is the reason why self-scheduling is not going to work for you, okay? So like I said, there's many layers to this. So if you do have it, I would like for you to click on the pencil. And when you click on the pencil, you should now be in here with numbers that say what you need during your 7A shift, how many people you have coming on duty, and all of the things up until your, oh no, I hit something that I shouldn't have hit and now I can't get back. Here we go. I'm working with no mouse, and I know you gave me one, Eric. So you should have numbers throughout all of these. Some may not have the actual shifts, but you may just have something that says from your staffing requirements template that you just need a certain number that's in gray, but you may not have an actual shift. That is okay, but you should have numbers throughout this. It's just saying that you don't have people coming in for that shift, but you had them in the day part up above. 7A12, I have 10 nurses. She has 10 nurses coming on. And then 9A12, she has 2. ED does theirs a little bit different. They have some staggering, right? If you're like a regular nursing unit that does 7A12, you may not have anybody coming in during your 11A4 day part. So you won't have any shifts in here, but you should see that you have the nurses with a certain number coming across. Does anybody not have any numbers in this shift template?
I don't.
We have one. Oh, there we go.
It's me. I don't.
Okay, so again, so Maria, if you could capture who these people are, because this is again why we probably don't have self-scheduling is not going to work for them. So that's another thing, another step that was missed. Okay, and again, I'm going to say this to everybody: you guys are working really hard. This is the system. The system's complex and there's layers to it, but once you learn it and get a hang of it, and it does what you need to do, it will make your life a lot easier. So hang in there. We're all learning and doing this together, but you will have once you figure it out and we get you on board, it should be a lot easier for you.
Okay,
Change is never easier. Yes, ma'am.
I have another cost center I can look at for this part. I have 2 cost centers for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna just give you a couple seconds to look at your other cost center and see if that one has what you need.
Thank you.
So I'm just gonna pause for a second, let her get caught up. So she's gonna go to, you're gonna look at your staffing requirements template. If you can see my screen, you should have this first one and then you should have one underneath. So anybody else who does not have that, just let me know when you're caught up. Maria, is there anything in the chat right now while we're paused just for a couple seconds?
No, just about the templates and a little bit of APPs are in here are wondering if they should be using. I'm just asking if they're using self-scheduling at all.
So are these the APPs that are downtown campus?
It's Shannon Gash
Yes.
is asking.
Yes, we are.
So yes, you can come off mic. Are you downtown? Are you downtown
Is
campus?
asking-
So yes, you can come off mic. Are you downtown? Are you
Yeah,
downtown campus?
Amy Borth and I are both downtown campus.
Yeah, I thought I saw Amy's name. So Amy, I'm not sure if you guys want to use self-scheduling. I know that Ashton is getting ready to work on a few things with you guys' schedule. So you're welcome to listen and follow along. We had to do a couple things to make sure the way you guys do your charging, you work in a certain unit, but you need to be charged to your home cost center. We have found a resolution for that. So just if you could reach out to Ashton, but feel free to follow along with this if you guys plan to use this. Okay.
Hey Kim, is there a way to get rid of if there's 2 shift templates?
You have to deactivate it. So you see how there's an active little button here? You only want one of them to be active.
Got it.
Kimberly, may I ask a quick question while we're waiting for the cost center to pop up there?
Sure.
When the self-scheduling is in process, do leaders and schedulers do they have ability to change some shifts just because the people below them would not be able to pick up the appropriate shift? Are you able to make changes when you see a lock on a shift? I guess is my question.
So if there's a lock on the shift and the process is open, and that means people are in there picking up shifts, you will not be able to make any changes to those shifts. There is a change coming that we're getting approved hopefully today and will get migrated up today. When your process is paused, it's not going to allow people in the process to claim shifts. And then you will be able to make some edits to your shifts when the process is paused. So if you pause it, you can go back to your view schedule and make some changes, and then you can go back to your process and reopen it when your changes are done.
Okay, and when you say I can make the changes, that would be, for example, that I can not per se change the shift, but reassign the shift that employee picked because they chose the wrong one. Yep.
One of the things you'll be able to do is unassign a shift. So if someone goes and claims a bunch of shifts in the wrong area or the wrong thing, you can go in. Yep, you can pause it. You can go in there. You can unassign those shifts, which is going to make them available for other people to claim again, and then you can open the process again.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll have Max speak to that again when we get to that step in this process. Okay. or Eric. I'm not sure which one of you are doing it. All right. Sound good? Okay,
I'm
so
up to date.
all right, so now that everybody's up to date, thank you, ma'am, for letting me know. We are going to go ahead and generate. Now, what for anybody hits the generate button, there's two areas that we're going to check and say, hey, was it generated or not? Okay. And if people are not sure if they generate it, we are not going to say pause until we know for sure, because I'm going to take you over to the view schedule screen. And if you see yellow in those on that screen, that tells you that you have already generated. So in this breadcrumbs again, where we have scheduling, multi-view scheduler, and schedule template, I want you to click on that third one under the blue bar. And it's going to bring us to our schedule template folder. And we're going to go to the one that says generate. And here's where you're going to enter your HR department again, the 5 digits. Please do not use mine. And we're going to click on the 419 where it says schedule period. And I'm going to remind everyone, this is where I want to remind everyone, we are officially moving to a 6-week schedule with the exception of CAP region. Okay. So everyone within UMS is going to a 6-week schedule. So if you are currently 4 or 8, the system, we are now going to 6. I don't know if I have that document where I wanted to show you guys. Tell me if you guys can see. I'm going to share this one. My screen switch. Okay, so this is what we are going to. We're going to a 6-week schedule. We are now currently on this 419 schedule. What's this saying is your open and close dates. You have control over when you open and when you close the schedules. It is going to say that you do open and close dates may differ by departments and units, but they must not overlap with your published date. Okay. Use the open and close columns as a template for your specific department. So you can put your dates in here. This is a template that should have been shared by your leaders. It's been out for several months now. You see here that during the week of 3/22, this is when everybody throughout the system should be publishing their schedules together. We are standardizing this across the board. We can all have our schedules in a cadence together, that we would be able to go in and view people's schedules across the system. So when we are doing this, keep this in mind. We may have to push the 3/22 date a little bit, but it's the week of 3/22. So anytime during that week, you need to have your published scheduled, okay? And then this process here, for those that use Staffing Center, we're not going to talk much about this here, but for Staffing Center, those that are pushing schedules out to those PRN staffs, this is the date that we start pushing out to them. Just so that you could see that. I wanted to share it, make sure you all saw that, okay? So 6-week schedules. So we are going to go to the 419 to 530. Some of you may already have done your 419 to 530 schedule in Kronos and had it published and finished and are doing that, putting that into a one-time schedule like you did your 3/8 schedule. If you have done that, you will not be doing self-scheduling for 419. You're probably starting your self-scheduling for the 531 period, okay? We are specifically talking about the 419, but if you're doing 531, you would just make sure you pick that date for your self-scheduling, okay? And you are going to hit next. And here is where you're going to put your templates together. So you're going to click your staffing requirements template and your shift template. And then you're going to click on next. I want to bring your attention to where it says last generated next to these. If you have generated, you may have a generated date on here. So this is telling you that it was already generated. So when you see that, you don't want to generate again. We only want to generate these schedules one time. So I'm going to go to the next one, and here again, it says the date is 419 to 530. I'm going to click on the second one to generate my workload based on staff and requirements templates. Generate my unassigned shifts, which will give you your unassigned shifts in your view schedule view as yellow, as well as helping you send shifts out to your self-scheduling process, and you want to create as unpublished shifts. Do not click your generate yet unless you are absolutely sure you did every step correctly, okay? This is where I'm going to pause and show you another view. You would know for sure if you generated or not, okay? So if you're not certain if you did this previously, because I know there's a lot going on, I want everybody to just pause for a second. And in your blue header bar, we're going to go to the View Schedule tab for your department. This is also what they call the ASV, or the Advanced Schedule View, if you hear those terminologies. But you just go ahead and click on that View Schedule tab. And make sure you put your department in the search area where it says schedule selection. I'm going to do 101316, and then come across. Right now I am on my 3/8/4/18 schedule. You're going to see a blue arrow right next to load. I'm going to push that to get me to my 4/19 to 5/30 schedule period, and then you're going to hit load. My screen is going to look a little bit different than yours because this person has their schedule out and opened. It's not paused. So you will see locks on mine. But this is where I can tell you that it has been generated because I have all these yellow shifts. If you do not have yellow shifts, that means you did not generate your 4/19 schedule. And then you would go back to where we just were to generate them. As you can see on this screen, this is Joni's ED. If you were to hover over with these locks, and Max or Eric will be showing you this later, the locks you will not see. The reason these locks are here is, again, because hers is open and it says that these shifts are locked pending open self-scheduling. And a lot of her people are starting to pick up, as you can see, because you see these jagged lines around the box, and you also see a lock over this that says that the shift is pending and it's locked, okay? Is there anyone just clicked over here and does not see yellow shifts? You can come off mic.
Hi, yeah, this is
Hi.
Sarah. Those I don't see yellow shifts.
Okay, so Sarah, but you do have stuff in your scheduling requirements template and shift template, the first few steps that we did?
I do now, yeah. I originally didn't, but the time it took for us to kind of work through that, I was able to put it in.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to just make sure we look at it before you generate, okay? Because we want to make sure it's right. So if you could pause before you generate, let us make sure that we look at it at the end, okay? So don't generate anything.
I
Go
don't
ahead.
have it either. It looks like several don't. We were told not to generate at BWMC because self-scheduling was on hold. So many
Yep,
of us
and this is-
probably will not.
Yep. And this is the meeting where you're going to be able to hit generate as long as you have those numbers. It sounded like the last person that was speaking, she just filled the numbers in. If the rest of you have already have numbers in there, it's okay to generate so that you can then get this yellow to feed over. So we're going to go back. So those that don't, and if you feel confident that your numbers are okay, but you feel like you want to, if you're not feeling confident, you want someone to look at your staffing requirements and shift template, we can do that. Don't hit generate. But those that are feeling confident, okay, go back to your multi-view, your schedule template again. We're going to go in here and you're going to generate, put your department in there. We're going to go in and generate, okay? I'm sorry, I went to the wrong one again. Pause, don't do what I'm doing. Go to schedule template in your breadcrumbs up here, because we're generating. The one that says generate. Put your department in and click the 4/19 schedule. Go to next. Click both your template and your requirements template. Hit next. You're going to go to generate workload, generate unassigned, and create unpublished. I am not going to hit generate because I do not want to mess up Joni's schedule. But if you feel confident that yours is set up the way it is supposed to, go right ahead and hit your generate. It's just steps that people have missed. So you may move forward with hitting generate. Okay?
I'm just coming off mute just to confirm. So if I did see yellow boxes, I do not need to hit generate again.
If you did, do not hit generate again.
Okay, thank
Do
you.
not. Yep. If you saw yellow boxes, do not. If you feel confident that your staffing requirements template and your shift template are set up correctly and you've got to this point, you want to make sure you generate it, and this is how you do it with the steps that I just showed. And you would hit that blue button. Okay? So from this point, now I'm going to hand over to Max, and Max is going to take you through groups. We are going to briefly touch on rules. We are not going to do a lot with rules. I'm just going to briefly say for rules that if you used rules in Kronos, those you can try and get those rules back in into the system, but you do not want to go crazy with rules, because if you go too crazy, you're going to block the system from doing what you need for it to do. And so I'm going to hand over to Max with RPI.
I am going to
Stop sharing.
the screen, but I'm going to talk through Kim's mic because we're all in the same room, and if we change any of our mics now, it'll be chaos.
So you guys can hear him? Somebody just give me a thumbs up that you can hear Max.
Sorry,
Thanks, Dawn.
wasn't talking before. I am now. Okay, let me share my screen. All right. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to go through our groups. We're going to briefly touch on our rules. Then we are going to go through our self-scheduling process, which is going to kind of tie everything that we've talked about today together. So for our groups, we are going to go to scheduling, self-scheduling, and group. I am going to use an existing group. If you could look up the group that you've already created, if you've created one. If you have not, you can create one. But I'm going to use this group here just as an example. This is Joni's group, CRMC ED. I would please only edit the ones that you've created or that belong to your HR department. So I'm going to go in and edit. While we're kind of on that topic, it's important that within the group name, you put your HR department number, your member org, and some unit description in here so that it's easy for you to find your groups later in the process. Also, so that if you submit a ticket or if you're asking for help and you're wondering, why someone can't see any shifts or anything like that, we are able to track down your groups and we can, support you and check your groups to make sure they're configured correctly. So in the group name, if you've already created it, you can edit this and save it. If you have not, when you create new, if you could please just put in, that level of information, that would be great. And then if you're creating a new one after you hit save, you're going to see this detail below. You're going to see group employee and group team. They will be blank though. So I'll explain both fields and then we can update these if we need to. So group employee, this is where you're going to add individual employees one by one who are, you're kind of telling the system these specific people are a part of this group. So what we're looking at here is we've got the emergency department as a part of one group. They've got one group for the emergency department and CRMC. They've got the whole ED under the HR group team down here, which we'll explain in a second, but they've also got a handful of employees listed up here, and these are their LTAs that they got from Staffing Center. So these people, being the LTAs from Staffing Center, don't belong to the ED full time. That's not their home department. Their home department is the Staffing Center, but they're on a long-term assignment to the ED. So because they're on this long-term assignment, the ED wants them to claim, be able to pick up shifts and self-scheduling. So they added them one by one to this list here, and they put the effective dates of their contract end date as the end date in self-scheduling. So as soon as these people's contract ends, they're going to drop off this list and they're no longer going to be able to self-schedule. So that's one reason why you would want to add people individually to your self-scheduling group. Another reason would be if you within your HR department, you want to break your people up into separate groups for whatever reason. There are a lot of folks who are wanting to create two groups. They want their full-time people in one group and they want their PRN people in another group. So they let their full-time people in first and their full-time people go and pick up their FTE. And then they let their PRN people in next, who are going to go pick up anything that was not claimed by the full-timers and build out their part-time schedule that way. Another reason you might have multiple groups with different employees in them are if you stagger your self-scheduling process. So if you want a certain number of your nurses or PCTs in the schedule at one time, you want, let's say you've got 150 people signing up for self-scheduling, you put 50 people in each group for a total of 3 groups, group A, B, and C. You can create those 3 groups. You can specify which employees belong to which group. And when you build your process, I'll show you how you can stagger your self-scheduling. So group A goes in 2 days before group B, and group B goes in 2 days before group C. And then our next schedule period, we're going to rotate so that B goes in first and then C and then A. But that just gives each group a little bit of time on their own to pick up shifts without, all 150 people in there fighting for the same shifts. So those are some common reasons why you would want to add people individually to your group. Down here, we've got our group team. And this, again, if we want just our whole HR department to be able to access self-scheduling, I don't want to worry about adding and removing people. I can just put my whole HR department within here so that anyone within my HR department can access this self-scheduling process. Because I'm offering specific shifts, I'm offering PCT shifts, I'm offering unit secretary shifts and nursing shifts. If there's anyone on my unit in my HR department that has a different qualification, they will not be able to pick up any shifts they're not qualified to work. So you could add your entire HR department to your self-scheduling group. You can only offer nursing shifts, and that means that only your nurses can self-schedule. Everyone else can go into that process, but they're not going to see any shifts available to them because they're not qualified to work them. So just because you add your whole HR department to your group does not mean that everyone within that HR department will be able to pick up shifts. It's up to you which shifts you're offering as to what's going to be available to them. So that is how you are going to define your groups. We're going to quickly go to our group rules. So in my breadcrumbs, I'm going to go back to self-scheduling and I'm going to click group rule. And then I am just going to choose an existing rule from CAP. Again, if you have not created any rules, please don't edit anything. I'm not going to come in here and change anything. I'm just going to show it to y'all. If you'd like to create rules and you really want to get into detail, we can spend some time together and talk through it. Like Kim said, if you didn't have rules in Kronos before, and you're just trying to get self-scheduling out there for people, maybe this period you don't create any rules. We can work together to create rules for next period. But we're going to briefly go over what rules can do. And then in more detail, we're going to go through the specifics later. We can go through the specifics of how all these different rules can work. So I'm going to edit this rule here. And in our rules, we've got, and I'm not making any changes in here again, please don't make any changes to people's rules if you can. So I'm selecting this so we can see that within our rules, we've got minimums and maximums. These are the 2 types of rules we can have. A minimum is a request to an employee to pick up a certain number of hours per week, every 2 weeks, or every schedule period, but you are requesting that they claim a minimum number of hours. A maximum can be a request that they do not pick up any more than a certain number of hours, or it can be a hard stop, which means I am stopping you from claiming any more than a certain number of hours. The reason a maximum can stop someone is that, if we don't want them to claim any more than a certain number of hours, we can flat out stop them. A minimum, we cannot stop them, which means if someone is in there and they're the last person to self-schedule, and there truly aren't any unfilled shifts left for them to claim because there aren't any that they're qualified for, we don't want to stop them from picking up any shifts just because they can't pick up their FTE. So we want them to be able to pick up what they can and submit it, even though it might not be everything that we've asked them to. So minimums can be a warning, maximums can be a warning or a hard stop. If we move down, we can see there's a section here for employee constraints. These are the filters. So within this group, we're building a filter to who this rule applies to within this group. The strongest tool here that you'll see is this FTE parameter field. So from 0 to 1 is essentially saying that everyone within this group, whether they're a 0 FTE all the way up to a 1 FTE, this is the rule that's going to apply to them. You can modify this so it can be 0.9 to 1 or 0.78 to 1 or whatever, whatever each status is at UMS. You can decide exactly, which FTE this rule applies to. You can also use other filters in here that we'll get into more detail. But keep it simple. FTE parameter is going to be one of your strongest tools in here. If we move to shift constraints, here's where we're saying which shifts these rules apply to. So I can say, all types of hours, right? So I'm saying the number of hours where it equals 24 for all types of shifts. But, I'm saying that I want them to pick up 24 hours of weekend shifts within my scheduling period. So 2 12-hour shifts or 3 8s or however they're deciding they want, they're offering shifts. We're saying 24 hours. When we select the different types of days that we're applying this to, we can say that this rule applies to all days or specific days, meaning Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can say weekend or weekday days. And you can define here what a weekend or a weekday is to you. So for this unit, a weekend is from Saturday at 9 a.m. until Sunday at 5 p.m. So we're saying that we would like you to pick up 24 hours of working time for this schedule period on the weekends, which is between 9 a.m. Saturday, 5 p.m. Sunday. So that's how you can apply these types of rules. There are different ways you can apply these rules outside of the number of hours. Other methods are pretty complex. They've got their uses, but they're pretty complex. And I suggest if you're kind of using this for the first time, using the number of hours is your strongest and your best bet here. So it's just a really quick rundown of the rules themselves. And we're going to move into our self-scheduling process now. We're going to go over that briefly, and then we're going to open it up for questions. So if you follow your cookie trail and you go back to self-scheduling, and at the bottom, you're going to see process. I'm going to open the CRM CED's process. So I'm going to search for that HR department number. And I'm going to hit edit so that we can go into this process and see. But before we go anywhere, I want to point out again, naming your process something that is meaningful to you and to us is really important. If you've already got a process, whether it's paused, whether it's open, no matter what it is, if you could go in and modify the name of that so that you make sure it's got your HR department number in it, a description, the date range or the member org that you're a part of. It's really helpful for us when we need to help you out, or for if you need to find your process at a later time. It's helpful for us to have that information in your name. So if we briefly look over this page, we're going to go into detail of all the different fields, but quickly, if I want to go in here and see that my process is ready to go, meaning it's ready for self-scheduling, I want to verify first that I've got a group in here, at least one group. If under the process window definition, you do not have a group listed here, it means that no one can go in and self-schedule. So if you don't have a group, no one's going to be able to get in there. And if we look down at the bottom under self-scheduling shift selection, we've got a lot of different jobs and we've got a lot of different shifts listed in here. If you don't have anything listed in here, it means that you haven't generated your shifts template. And when you went to view schedule, there weren't any yellow shifts available in view schedule. We can obviously change both of those things and help out with that, but this is a way that you can briefly go into your process and see whether it's ready or not. So to go into more detail on the process itself, we've got our process name and description. Again, if you could update these to be something meaningful, when you first create your process, it's going to default to, I think, a 5 or a 6-digit number. Every process that's created, it just adds 1 to that number. So if you could those to be something meaningful, that would be great. We've got our start dates and our end dates for our self-scheduling process. These are the dates that shifts exist. So for my 4:19 to 5:30 schedule, this is where self-scheduling for the shifts on this date range. Below, we've got our self-scheduling window definition. These are the dates that people are able to access these shifts. The shifts exist on 4:19 to 5:30, and then on 3/9 at 8 a.m., that means self-scheduling opens up. I can go in there and I can start picking up the shifts from 4:19 to 5:30. So, we've got it's a little bit confusing here, but your window start and end date are basically when the door opens for your people to go in there and start picking up their shifts. You've got a window start and end date up here, your initial window start and your last window end date. And for each group has their own window start and end date as well. Because this the ED here only has one group we were looking at before, they've only got one line, and their window start date and window end date match the corresponding last window end date and initial window start date. So on 3/9 at 8 a.m., the door opens, people can go in and self-schedule. 24 hours before that, so on 3/8 at 8 a.m., everyone in this group got the message that said self-scheduling for 4:19 to 5:30 is open tomorrow at 8 a.m. It will close on 3/17 at 11:59 p.m. The self-scheduling process closes on 3/17 at 11:59 p.m. 16 hours before the process closes, everyone in this group is going to get this message. So you're able to define by changing these values and changing the notes in here and changing your dates, exactly who's allowed in when, what notes they get, and all that information. Below all of our self-scheduling groups here, we've got all of the shifts that are available on this unit. We've got a lot of jobs listed here for this group. You should only have a handful, but here we've got our nursing shifts, our PCT shifts, supervisors, and unit secretaries. For this unit, for the ED, we're going to have some irregular numbers listed here. Like we've got 0 3 p.m. shifts left. We've got 0 7 a.m. shifts left. This group created all these self-scheduling shifts and they offered them out. The schedule is open right now and people are claiming these shifts. And what this means, there are no more day shifts left on that first Sunday. There's only 1 day shift left on that Monday, 5 on the Tuesday. So as we offer our shifts, when you go in here and you offer them initially, it's going to be a whole round number. It's going to be 10 out of 10 that you're offering, or however many shifts you created. Each day you're going to be offering whatever you initially created. You can choose to offer less on any given day if you want to, if you've got 8 shifts available, or here in this case, we've got 10 shifts available. We could have offered 8 of the 10 instead of all 10. But typically you're generating and creating however many you need filled. So you're going to offer all these shifts out there. So when you create this and when you first come in here, your numbers are going to be like your denominators here. So we've got 0, 1, 5, 1. We're kind of all over the place because people are in here claiming shifts. Your denominators should all be whatever you define them to be, however many shifts you generated. Because this process is currently open, these boxes are grayed out for me. That means I can't change the number of shifts that I'm offering because the process is open. People are in there right now picking up shifts. If I start decreasing the number of shifts that are available, if someone's midway through claiming a shift and I decrease the number, it could take taken away from them. It's going to be confusing for your people. If you're moving, it's a bit of a moving target, right? So while your self-scheduling process is open, this is going to be grayed out. You're not going to be able to change the number of shifts that you're offering. You can pause it though, and you can come in here and you can change the number of shifts that you're offering. So similar to what we were talking about before, if you pause it, you can change the number of shifts that you're offering. You can also go to your view schedule and you can make some changes to your shifts in there as well. So if you've got too many shifts, you could go in and remove some. If someone claimed a bunch of shifts that they didn't mean to claim and you want to remove them from their schedule, you can pause your process really quickly. You can go into view schedule and remove those shifts from that person and put them back out for self-scheduling, and that person can go in and start fresh. So if you need to, if your process is open and you need to make any changes to the number of shifts that you're offering, you can pause it, come in here and change it, and then reopen it. The feature where you're able to unassign people from shifts mid self-scheduling period, if you pause it, that is in the approval process right now for us to make that change in production. So it should be in there very soon. If you pause your process right now and you try to go unassign someone who's claimed a shift, you will not be able to until that change is made. So we are working on that as we speak. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that that is at this exact moment, that is not in there, but it will be in there as soon as we can, hopefully today. So yeah, that is a kind of a rundown of our self-scheduling process, which includes all of our groups, includes all of our shifts, and it's got our window start dates and end dates. If you're in this screen, if you've already got a self-scheduling process out there, but it's paused, if you're in this screen and you don't see a group, you don't see any shifts listed, you've probably got to go back and correct one of those steps before you can offer. If everything in here looks great, we've seen this before as well. You've got a group in here, you've got your start dates and your end dates and your shifts and everything, but people are still saying they can't see shifts. You want to make sure that they are a part of that group. So if they're not a part of this group, then they won't be able to see shifts. We've had some folks who, wanted to go in and verify that the shifts were open. Their managers or schedulers, they offered the shifts out to self-scheduling. They want to go in and actually see that those shifts are there. They weren't a part of the group, so they weren't allowed into the self-scheduling process. And then when they got into the self-scheduling process, they couldn't see any shifts because they were a manager, not a nurse or a PCT or a supervisor. Just remember, if you're going in there yourself to try to see some things, if you don't have the right job, you may not be able to see exactly what your people see, but it is helpful to go in there and see what they see. So if you want to add yourself to the group, you can go in and view shifts, even if you do not plan on self-scheduling. So, are there any questions up until this point about our process or our groups or anything like that? I think we want to kind of move through some specific self-scheduling questions before we talk through our templates. So if you've got any questions around how your templates or shift templates are built, we'll hold off for just a few minutes. Are there any questions specifically about self-scheduling groups or processes? You can either raise your hand or you can just come off mute and speak up.
Hey Max, Beth Nash from St. Joe's. For the self-scheduling window definition, where you have the dates for 3/9 through 3/17, and then you're opening it up for that first group, which is all. But let's say you have two groups. Under the window start and end date, wouldn't you want that to be just a part of the 3/9 through 3/17? Because then you're going to open up for the B group, let's say halfway through that. I'm just verifying that.
Yeah. So like this one might be from 3/9 to like 3/15. And then our second group might be 3/11 through 3/17. That way there's kind of like a 2-day, where the first group goes in for 2 days before the second group does. So yeah, if you've got multiple groups and you're staggering them, then, your last group has to be out by 3/17 at 11:59. And your first group can be in there at 3/9 at 8 a.m. So as long as within all your groups, they kind of fall within these overall dates up here, then yeah, you can stagger your people.
So Beth, I can tell you that some people are doing their groupings where group A opens 3/9 to 3, they leave it open for them, and then it opens to the next group where it may open on 3/12, but still open to 3/17. So now it's open to both groups. And
Yeah,
some are opening and closing to the groups. So that's going to be specific to how you want to do it. I see that a lot of people are staggering it, leaving the end date open for everybody. It's just, if you didn't get to it when you were in group A, too bad, now it's open to B, but you still have an opportunity to sign up for your shifts.
Gotcha. That's good to know. Thanks, Kim.
Mm-hmm. Is it Jaleesa?
Good morning. Yes. So for me, I see everything that I'm supposed to see in terms of a window start date, window end date. I have a group there. However, I see the process status. It says open, but when I go down to where the shifts are, all of the boxes say 0, nothing's grayed out.
So the button says open.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a little confusing.
Mhm.
When you go back to the process screen itself, I'm gonna type in this HR department here. So under process status, this
Hmm.
process is open right now. It's out there. When I click edit, the button says pause because that would be my ability to pause the process. So it's a little strange in that if your button says pause, that means that your process is actually open. If your button says open, that means that it's not open and you can press that button
Okay.
to open it.
Okay.
So if it says open, yeah, right, it's a little confusing. If it says open and all your boxes are not grayed out, then yeah, currently it's paused or it's in pending process and you are able to come in here and offer your shifts out and then you can click that open button and then people will be able to get in there.
Okay. So we should be going in and manually entering the shifts in those boxes depending on what needs we have. I mean, what needs we have that still need to be filled.
Yep. So you can, so where this says remove all here, you've got, it's a toggle. So when you go down there, you should have an offer all button where you can offer it and it'll basically just offer all of the shifts that you've got. Or you can hit remove all, which will zero all of them out. So you could offer every one of them and then you can go into certain days and you can, you can lower your number a little bit if you want to, or you can just offer the total number you've got. But the offer all, remove all are going to fill them all out or zero them all out. And then you can go from there and you can make the tweaks that you need.
Okay. Thank you.
While it's paused.
While it's paused.
While
that's
it's
right.
paused.
Yep. If it's grayed out, you're not going to be able to do anything in here until you pause it.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So, does anybody else have their hand up? Because I'm sorry, I can't see.
Yeah, I had a question about the groups.
Okay.
I was just having trouble figuring out how to add my HR department as a group team.
So in your group, and you click the magnifying glass, are you unable to see anything in there?
I see it and I've clicked on it, and then if I hit go or save, like nothing keeps it in there. It just disappears.
Are you able to share your screen real quick and we can take a look?
Yeah.
Thank you.
While she's bringing that up, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I think I have it up. Are you able to see it?
Yes.
Yep. So this piece is a little bit confusing. So under the group team, there's a little piece of paper next to your save icon that's going to add a new row down there. Yep. So if you click that, that adds a new row and then you'll look in that magnifying glass there for your team and then save it.
Okay.
So can you stay on the screen for a second? Because for me, when I read this, and I said this to Max many times, so just so everybody on the call, when I just keep keep it up. Can you see that line? In my mind, the line indicates everything above is in that section, right? Unfortunately, where it says group details and the line, everything below it is now what's part of that details. Where it says group employee, then line, that below is what is indicated. Group team, and below is everything. The line to me is in the wrong spot. So
Kim is saying that she agrees. So the way you put it in there is logically the way you would, right? Because the line is saying that everything below that line is something else. So the box that you put it in is, logically where you would put it.
Yeah.
So it's a little weird there. Sorry.
Okay. So are you good?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. I think I saw somebody else's hand. I think they put it down. So just we have like 6 minutes. So before we move on to the people with staff and requirements questions, anybody who did this process and now they feel comfortable, you can now click that pause and click it to open and send this out to your team members. The only thing that we ask is make sure your team members know that it's now opened, because there's no way that we can communicate to everyone. We don't know who's doing self-scheduling, so you need to make sure your team members now know that it's open and ready for self-scheduling, okay? I still do not see my group under process.
It might be the same thing that we were looking at before. You might need to add a new group and then search for it in there. If you want, you can share your screen and we can do it together. But yeah, give that a shot and let us know if it doesn't work. We can't hear you if you're saying anything. But
There she goes.
All right. So if you are you saying self-scheduling group? All right. Yeah, looks good. It's just those folks. So when you say you go to your process, your group's not showing up. So if there's nothing listed there for you, I don't think that you've got a process yet. So you might have to create a new process, a new self-scheduling process. So your group looked fine. It was the process that you're adding your group to that I don't think is created yet. So if you hit create new entry up at the top, and then you put your unit in there, and then
You got to make sure you're picking the right dates because we can't see it. It's kind of tiny. It's yeah.
so
She
I
needs
think
to.
you just pause. You just opened a self-scheduling process for the 3/8 to 4/18 schedule. So yeah, we'll need to create a new one. That one, the one that you had just created is pending. So let's edit that one real quick and then we'll close it. So there's a blue close button there in between open and save. Yep.
Is she off mute? Like we can't hear if she's saying anything.
Close that one. Just yep. Ooh, idle timer. And then we'll go. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, it's asking that you create put a description in there. So if you just in the process description, yep, in the process description, you could just type your HR department or yep, error, perfect. And then close, yep. All right, and then go back to self-scheduling and then we'll create a new process for the 4/19 schedule. And then before you hit create, I want to show something to the group.
So can we make sure her title, whatever she's doing, because she's going really fast.
4/19, perfect.
I need.
We're good. So before you hit create, the last window down there for copy window definition. So when you all go onto your next process to create your next self-scheduling process for the next period, you can copy from your existing, the one that you've created just now, and it'll bring your groups in and it will put the dates in there. If you put any notes in, it'll bring your notes over. So after you create this first process, if you copy every process you create after this, if you copy from your first process, it's going to bring all that information over for you. You're not going to have to start fresh every time. So just something I wanted to show. But for you, if you hit create new process, and we've got 4/19 to 5/30, so you're good to go. You can hit create new as long as that's your HR department.
Blue button.
Sorry, if you're talking, we can't hear you. But you're ready to create a new one if you'd like. So you've got your 4/19 schedule period selected. Yep. And then you can hit create new process. There we go. Looking good. So you got all your shifts listed out there. That's great. In the middle, there's a blue add window button. So in the middle of your screen, all the way on the left. Yep. So this is where you're going to add. So each time you hit that, it's going to add a new row. It looked like you had two groups, so you could add two rows here if you want, but this is where you're going to look up the group that you created and add your groups in there.
Does she not have a microphone? Because we are not able to hear her. I thought she was talking before. Can't tell if she muted.
You're in full time. Nice. And then your window start and window end dates they're going to default to the schedule start and end dates, which is not what you want. So here, yep, here's where you're going to change your dates to be
this week.
Yep. And then you want to change all your starts, all your ends dates, and then the initial window open and close dates up at the top as well. If you try to save it before you update all of these, it's going to yell at you because they might not be aligned. So you can update all your starts and all your ends. Just make sure you update all three.
And I know we're at time, but I really would like to help the people that needed assistance with staff room requirements. So not going to do a whole session, but where are the so for those that are good, you do not need to stay on this call. You are welcome to open your schedules. There were, I think, 3 people that were having some questions about their requirements template. Sorry. And shift template. Who are they? Maria?
We have Sarah needs to get to a meeting though. I don't think she's going to be able to stay on. But she's asking for some one-to-one help from someone. We also have a really good RDO shift question in here from Jennifer Hoskinson. She wants to know if you can add her RDO shifts to my template while it is open, or do I need to pause or to add anything?
To pause it.
So if the RDO shifts have already been generated, you would need to pause the process and then add those shifts in there, and then you can open it again in the process. If you added RDO shifts to your template, but they're not visible in view schedule, like you haven't generated them yet, it's a little, the rule of thumb is never regenerate. However, there are some circumstances where if you did make like a minuscule change to your existing shift template, you can regenerate. So is it that they're on your view schedule, but they're not currently open in your self-scheduling process, or they're not in your view schedule at all?
We didn't add them on our template as something that somebody could choose.
Okay, so you generated all your regular shifts and you offered all those out, but you never created the RDO shifts.
Correct.
So yeah, if you would like to share, there's a few things that I want to check first. I just want to make sure, because if you make certain changes to a shift template, or you add a new shift template, or there's a couple different things that if you generate twice, it could double the number of shifts that you've got, and we don't want that because it takes a little while to get rid of all those shifts. But
Yes.
if your shift template is exactly the same as it was before, the only difference is you've got your RDO shifts added there, then you can regenerate. So I don't know if you want to share, or if you can just verify that the only thing on your shift templates that's different is RDO, then you can regenerate, and then you would pause your process, add those RDOs, and then open it back up again.
Okay, I can show you my screen real quick, I think.
So if you were, and you don't have to go there, I just want to make sure that we're verifying. So you've got 15 and 3, and that's for sure the total number of AM shifts that you've got. The only difference is that you're adding RDO shifts in here to generate.
Yes, I think that's what I want to do only.
Are they in here yet, or you want to add them?
I need to add them because
Yes,
we
you
just
need to
totally
add 'em.
forgot about the do not schedule option
Okay,
for people.
that's fine. So is it just for nurses or PCTs as well?
I would put it in for everybody.
Okay.
So would you do like 2 for days for nurses, 1 for PCTs overall? How did you plan on doing it?
I hadn't thought that far ahead quite, but something like that. Yeah, we'll pick a number like 2 or 5.
So if you the number that you generate is going to restrict people from signing up for more than that number on any given day. So if you've got 15 people, you're like 15 is your requirement, then no more than 3 per day would kind of help you balance out.
Okay.
If you do 5, that's fine. Just when you go to balance your schedule after self-scheduling closes, you might have to do a little bit more manual moving around because you
Sure.
might have a bunch of people not working on some days, which means you got everybody working on other days.
Yeah, I think we're definitely gonna have to figure that balancing part out later on. Yeah, but I
Right,
just
yep.
wanted it to be an option for people.
Of course. So under the shift column, there's a piece of paper, the plus piece of paper, right
Uh-huh.
next to the nurse. So
Uh-huh.
we're basically going to add a new shift label in here.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah, and that's your day shift, so you want to make sure you pick the RDO day.
right. Okay. And then I just pick how many I want there.
Yep.
And then you'll
Okay.
put in
And then I'll save it and then
regenerate.
And then you have to generate it again.
So yeah, so you'll
Okay.
generate 419 again, and
Okay.
then you can go to your process, pause it, offer offer all, which is going to offer all your RDO and day shifts and all that, and then you can open it up again.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right,
so this is
so-
where, so somebody asked why are we doing RDOs in the template? This is where when you have team members that need to request that day, they still want to work their usual days, but there are certain days of the week, like they have class or they have something that's happening, I have a doctor's appointment. You put that's a day, it's similar to our do not schedules. You're going to put that you're going to request this day. This is a day that you don't want to work.
And the reason that they are shifts, I know that this is a little different than how it's done in Kronos. The reason that they're shifts in WFM rather than like a time off that they can request is if you create them as shifts, you can basically, like we were saying, you can offer 3 every day, which means people cannot sign up for any more than 3, which is going to limit the number of people requesting on any given day, which is going to help you to not have to deny some people's RDOs and approve others. The other thing you can do is you can build a self-scheduling rule specifically for RDO hours, and you can limit someone to 48 RDO hours within that schedule period, which is going to prevent them from picking up any more than 2 RDO shifts within that 6-week period. So you're able to kind of put some guardrails around how many RDOs people can request, which is going to leave enough for everybody. And it's also, again, going to make sure that you don't have, 15 people scheduled one day and none scheduled the next.
Yeah, but we're recommending get comfortable with the system and how it's working before you then go in and start putting these rules. Because yep, so try this first, and then as you get comfortable with it, with the way things are working, then venture out and say, okay, now I'm going to try this. You don't have to. Although we did this Big Bang Theory because Kronos went out, you don't have to do the Big Bang Theory and make sure you know how to do everything the first 6 weeks this is open. Give yourself some grace and learn the system and then go in and add on to it, right? So there's a lot of different things that you can do in this. I don't know how many of you were here when we started Epic. There's just so many ways to do things in it that just take your time and learn the system. I'm going to give us 7 more minutes. I want to say Sarah had a question about her staffing requirements and shift template. Is that you, Sarah?
Yeah, initially, let me see if I can share my screen. I did not have, although like when you guys are walking through the steps, I feel like I've done all of the steps and for some reason like this didn't populate. So I went ahead and I created this shift template name. So after this step, you said to go to this schedule template, is that correct?
No.
So yeah, so you'll generate after this, which is under schedule template.
Oh, that's what she
So
did she open it? Do you want to open it and
Yeah, let's check.
Yeah, let's look at it.
Check your shift templates out real quick.
So don't hit that one. Whoop.
Where am I going?
All right, if you go back to schedule templates, back to where you were, if you hit the pencil icon next to your shift template, let's just make sure there's some shifts in there.
I have a small team, so this is correct.
That's all good. So there aren't actual
No template.
There's no shifts here, which is why nothing generated. So the piece of paper icons next to the job names are how you're going to add a row, and then you're going to pick the label that you want to generate. So you're saying you want none on the weekends, but then 1 on the weekdays. So here's where you're going to say, this is exactly what my nurse is going to work on the weekdays. So you
Okay,
pick your
this
label in here, and then you put the number of shifts that you want to generate each day. And then when you go through that generate process, which you can do again, then it's going to actually create some shifts for you.
okay, this is something I've definitely done this before, so I don't, and I know it was in the live environment, it wasn't in the test environment, just as this previous step, like I had done this already, so I'm not quite sure why this didn't save. So should I work through this right now, like on this meeting, or should I do this on my own?
Well, are you comfortable with the generate step and then offering within the process?
I mean, I think I need some additional support.
Okay, let's work through it together then.
Okay.
So if you've got labels that you're in that lookup right there, is there a shift label that you're going to use for your nurses?
Yeah.
Perfect. So if you select that, yeah, and then you'll just put the number of shifts that you want to generate each day. And you don't need those on the weekends, or you're going to do a different shift on the weekend?
I'm doing a different shift for the weekend.
So this is to add a skill to that one shift that you just created. So hit the trash can next to that to get rid of it. And then, yep, exactly right where you were. This is where you'll do your other shift. Perfect.
And this is day shift, and then so this would be evening shift.
Yeah. And then before you navigate away, we'll just make sure that we hit save in the bottom left corner.
And so just to be clear, you have like 4 people in this department? Is that what we're?
So I have during the weekday, I have myself, I'm the nurse, and then I have a social worker that's full-time during the day. On the weekdays, on the weekends, I just have social workers. There's an 8 to 4 shift, and then on the weekends, there's I'm sorry, on the weekends, there's an 8 to 4 shift, and then an evening shift, which is 4 to 12.
Okay, and all of you are self-scheduling, like you don't have a schedule that's set with you guys. You're doing a self-scheduling. Do you have a set schedule for each of you in that department?
No, my only employee who's full-time and has a basic schedule pattern is the full-time day shift social worker who works Monday through Friday.
Okay,
So this row right here.
I was just making sure because it's such a small unit that I was just curious.
We've had someone who thought that this was how they had to, unfortunately.
You don't have to do this. This is one of the functionalities in the system that we just want to make sure this is something you definitely wanted to use.
Okay.
Okay, so if I go here, this all looks, I think, correct.
You need to add one more for the weekends for your night shift social worker?
This is like our evening shift for the weekend from 4 to 12, Monday through Friday.
Froze. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm looking on Kim's computer. You're good. My screen froze right with you adding a new line.
That's okay.
So save. Perfect. Then now you can go through that generate. So you'll go back to schedule templates. And then generate.
And I'll do the next schedule, period.
419 schedule. And then next. And then you'll want to check. So you got 2 shift templates here. So that's maybe why when you created it before, it didn't show up under this one. So we had some folks who were creating shift templates underneath the no template section. They weren't linking them to their staffing requirements templates. So I think that's why. So it looks like you've got one that isn't linked and one that is linked. You definitely want to make sure that you're generating the one we just created.
Okay. Yeah, this is the one I just created.
Perfect. So you can hit next. And then you want to do
that one. Yep, generate and then create.
One, and then, yep. So it's just telling you that you've already done it, and you can hit, yep, we want to override it. Okay. So now if you hit, just to be sure, if you hit view schedule,
Mm-hmm.
you go to that 419 schedule, just want to make sure that you've got,
There they are.
yep, there they are.
Okay, so this should be good. Yeah, I worked with one of the workforce management like support people that were on campus because my department's a little special. But my staff should now be able to select shifts now that are in the different groups.
You still have to go through that process.
Yep. So we want to do the self-scheduling process as that last step. So if you go to scheduling and then self-scheduling and process. So this is that process, I think, that is, so it's already open. Is this one that you had created before?
Yes.
Okay, so if you hit edit and you've got your groups in there, everything is good. So just this one last step, we want to hit pause on that blue button in the middle. And then once it reloads, now all those boxes below are the white background. So you can hit offer all. Right on the, sorry, bottom, yep, there.
For what, each of them, or?
So I think you want to, so you want your nurses and your social workers all self-scheduling, yeah?
I'm the only nurse, so it would just really be my social workers.
Okay, yeah, so then you can hit offer all for social workers.
Okay.
Right, and yeah, so you're not offering to yourself. And then up at the top where pause was, you can hit open. And then it looks like your group, so group A, the part-timers opened on the 10th at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
So they should be able to see those shifts in there now. Your PRN, oh, sorry, that might be full-time, sorry. Your PRN people, that second group in there, they're getting in on
the
14 at midnight. So your one group should be able to see those shifts out there right now if they log in.
The only thing I'm looking at is her end date is the same day they're supposed to publish, but she should be able to get that done with 4 people. But it's
yeah, there's not too many.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And then if you go back to view schedule, you should see locks on all your social worker shifts now.
Okay. Do I have to like save or anything?
Huh?
No.
Do I have to hit save or okay?
No.
Nope. It's good.
There's your locks.
Yep. All those locks. And then as your social workers are in there picking up these shifts, the shifts, like as they submit their schedules, the shifts are going to start showing up on their schedules. And they'll start falling off that unfilled list there. So you'll see people claiming those shifts kind of live. But after they claim them and the process closes, you still have the ability to balance that and publish it before they can see. So once they claim, like once they request those shifts in self-scheduling and they process it, it's not until you finalize and balance it that they can actually see it on their schedules. So that's just one last clarifying point. They might go in and they might, claim a couple shifts in self-scheduling here, might go look at their 419 schedule and not see the days they just claimed. That's because you still get to balance and publish it before it's finalized.
Okay.
So you're good to go.
Okay.
So staff can. So I just saw in the question from Julie that says staff can only request an RDO day if we add that into the template. That is correct. The scheduler and their manager will have the ability to add as many RDOs as you need. So when you're balancing the schedule, if you need to know that somebody has vacation request, they requested 3 days this week, and then the end of the week, you can block it off with RDOs so that then you know that that person is not available that entire time. There was one more person. Julie, did I answer your question?
Kim, there was a question about the recording. Natalie, Kelly Schiavone.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a mass group, so I'm not able to send it to certain people. But if you capture people's names, I can just send it to those people. But unfortunately, I won't be able to send it to the group because this was a mass one that I created it, and then each member at work sent it out, so I don't know who they sent it to.
Yeah, I'll drop it in our chat.
Yeah, and unfortunately I cannot this would have to go through communications in order to send it out to the masses. So I can send it out to individual people, but I cannot send it to the masses. Julie, was your
Okay.
question answered, ma'am, that I saw in the chat?
Yes. So just for everybody, for nurse PCT unit secretaries, I have to add in that RDO and then however many they can request off in a day or in a week.
Yes, but how many unit secretaries do you have?
Well, it's a big unit, so
Okay.
um
So you would just want to determine how many you would like to offer out for each of those shifts.
okay. And then
Yeah.
my other question too, just to clarify, and I think you kind of answered this, but we don't, when we self-schedule our staff, it's not a first come, first serve thing. It's they just, everybody just puts their wish schedule in, and then we have to balance it after. So
Yep,
there could be up to like 20 people requesting one day. So I should adjust my day parts to allow for that. Is that right? Instead of like we normally staff to 17 nurses, I shouldn't do that.
I think I would offer the number of shifts that
you need
truly filled. It is going to prevent people from claiming any more on those days. I think that folks, we've talked to a few different places where people have gotten used to signing up for days, even though they're full, just because they've always been able to kind of write their name, and
Yeah, this will force them to, if you have you need 17 nurses that day, right?
Yeah.
But then on Monday, you only have 15 people that signed up, but you have 17 people that signed up on Tuesday and Wednesday, and now you're running out of days. It's going to force people to say, I got to pick up Monday because that's all that's left. So it gives you less work to do, to have to now try and go balance that schedule, because the system's helping you balance it on its own, because you said, this is how many I actually need and want. I'm going to force you to go pick up somewhere else.
Okay. But so if we wanted to allow people to do that and not just cut them off at 17, then we could adjust the numbers to account for that. If
that's what you want to do. Yeah,
okay.
it's just going to be more work for you, Julie. But
No, I understand the point. I get that. That's just what we've always done. I'm just trying to be clear. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, Kim, can you repost or show the schedule of the publishing dates so that folks can screenshot that and see when they're supposed to publish them out?
Can you see it?
I don't see it yet.
No, because all right, hold on.
Got it.
All right. Any other questions? All right, we are over time. Thank you for joining. I think we have 2 more left. And then we'll probably have other sessions that we have to do for something else. But thank you all for your time. Have a good day.